Now, when I say Sichuan, what comes to mind? Maybe pandas, hot pot, spicy food for sure, or that famous tongue numbing spice. Yes, Sichuan is known for its bold and fiery cuisine. But just like their food, the people of Sichuan are spirited, strong, and unafraid. What many people don't realize is that Sichuan holds a special place in Chinese history, especially during times of chaos and dynastic change. And there's a famous expression, and it's called 天下未乱属先乱，天下已平属未平. So it means before the nation falls into chaos, Sichuan is already in turmoil. And even after the country is pacified, Sichuan is often the last to settle. So this pattern has repeated itself throughout Chinese history. Take the Sichuan Railway Protection Movement in 1911, for example. That uprising was the spark that helped ignite the Xinhai Revolution that brought down the Qing dynasty. And now history may be stirring again. And in the past 2 days, the fiery people of Sichuan once again clashed with authorities. The intensity of the confrontation is something that we haven't seen in the past couple of years in China under the CCP's tightly controlled surveillance. And that old saying has returned to the public mind. Sichuan is the first to rise when a dynasty is about to fall. So, could this be the prelude to something larger, right? Something that challenges the very foundation of the current regime. So, let me break down exactly what happened and explain why this event is significant. Miss Lai was lured by several girls her age, also 13 and 14, allegedly her classmates, to a building. And so there were multiple videos showing her being forced to strip, verbally humiliated, and violently beaten for 4 hours. The attackers documented the abuse and uploaded the footage themselves to social media. And these three girls also stole the victim's phone, threatened to sell it, and even forced her to hand over money, which they then used to take a cab to go home after the assault. So people familiar with the case say the victim comes from a poor family. Her mother is deaf and mute. Her father is a peasant, but is also handicapped. The girl has been bullied by the same group before and was reportedly isolated at school because she came from a poor family. And then the same group is believed to have targeted other victims as well. Now, here's what happened. After 10 days of the incident, on August the 2nd, the attackers' videos began to go viral across China. The victims' parents went to school to seek justice, and they knelt before school and government officials begging for help. They also reported the case to the police, but were brushed off. Online rumors claim that one of the attackers' parents is the deputy chief of the local police. Now, under enormous public pressure, the local police issued a statement on August the 4th, saying medical examiners determined the girl had only suffered minor injuries. But according to the videos, the beating was severe and lasted for hours. Some local sources say that the victim's mother fainted after watching the video of her daughter's abuse. And also, the police claim that the two attackers received administrative punishment and will be transferred to another school. And they will be given just what's called criticism and education sessions. So, to many people in China, this is a familiar script. Privileged children, especially those of party officials, face no real consequences, no matter how serious the crime. And cases like this happen every day across China. And in most places, people stay silent, but not in Sichuan, not this time. The people of Jiangyou, a small city of just 730,000 people, stood up. So they cried out. They said, her mother is deaf and mute. She cannot speak, so we will. And they made their voices heard, loud and clear. So what happened is they went to the school. I think in some cases, they went to the local government, trying to talk to the officials, demand justice. Large crowds also gathered at major intersections, also in front of the school and also in front of the government building. So, and then despite police roadblocks, people pushed through, chanting, Tell the truth, punish the attackers, and we want justice. Secretly, the local government called in police reinforcement from the Mianyang city. And so when those police forces, maybe they're the armed police forces, came, they started to beat up the local protesters. And they started beating and arresting people. And then videos from that night showed things get out of control. It was like a battlefield with smokes in the air, streets flooded with police, and even what sounded like gunshots. And this is what people got really upset because this is the truck normally used to transport animals like pigs and cattle, but they're used in this case to transport the detained protesters. That's what angered people. If you look carefully, in the front of the truck, it says, ironically, liberation. And this is very strange because Chinese police usually throw protesters into like buses or vans and beat them up in the van. They don't publicly parade them in these kind of caged trucks used to move livestock. So this is very humiliating. And then it offended the public as if the authorities were saying, you're pigs and we decide your fate. After midnight, after the police force from Mianyang arrived, the police used tear gas, sprayed pepper spray, and they violently arrested more people. And that's when things really got out of control. Yeah, people were chanting, down with Xi Jinping, down with the CCP. It's the most intense public uprising that I've seen in recent years. Some people said that as many as 10,000 people were on site. I mean, there were definitely a few thousands, but some people say there were as many as 10,000. Now, you have to understand, all of this happened just days before the World University Games were set to open in Chengdu, the provincial capital of Sichuan. And this is the first time China hosts the World University Games. And it's one of the largest sports games in the world after the Olympics. And so the local authorities are very nervous. And so they are very nervous about the security situation. By daytime of August the 5th, nearly every reference to Jiangyou was blocked online. So in response, Chinese netizens started using code words like soy sauce, because soy sauce in Chinese is Jiangyou, which sounds like the city, Jiangyou. They used the word soy sauce to bypass censorship. And even those videos quickly disappeared. So you can't talk about soy sauce now in China. It's a sensitive word. And people say they're at a breaking point. And now, for the first time in a long time, they have the courage to stand up. And the support is spreading far beyond just Sichuan. And there's one comment that I think nailed the heart of the matter. It says, history will remember the bravery of the people of Sichuan. The revolution to overthrow the CCP has already begun. Just as the Sichuan Railway Protection Movement helped bring down the Qing dynasty, people are saying or thinking that this Jiangyou protest will be the spark that changes everything. Across China, other than the comments that are left on social media or left in the social media accounts of police, I've also seen posters calling for larger movements showing up. They are beginning to be circulating. This one called for a national movement. So this poster says, we want to breathe, we want to speak, we all want to get soy sauce. Get soy sauce, 打酱油 means beat Jiangyou. And then it says national multi-city movement to support Jiangyou, soy sauce. And the name of the movement is called Voice for the Voiceless. And it's proposed at 6:04 p.m. August the 9th. 6 to 8 p.m. August the 9th, 2025. Let's step out to take a walk, chill in a public space, and buy some soy sauce. So in short, it looks like the people of Sichuan are calling on the rest of China to join them in a peaceful, symbolic protest by walking around in public spaces on August the 9th between 6 to 8 p.m. And then there's another one. And this one, so the second one is titled An Open Letter to the Citizens of Jiangyou, with the subtitle, Fight for Justice, Fight for the Future. It defines Jiangyou's current situation as a combination of legal injustice, social breakdown, and administrative failure, but argues that people still hold collective power to push for change if they work together, if they get united. So, this is their plan. The plan calls for daily gathering outside City Hall to demand a formal investigation and justice, nonviolent resistance targeting businesses tied to the perpetrators' families. And then they came up with this idea called packing the prisons. The whole idea is to overwhelm the prison systems, but people have to be unafraid of being arrested and detained. And then the next one is using social media and flyers and leaflets to raise awareness. And the last one is enlisting lawyers to defend those detained. The short term goal is to overwhelm the prison and legal system to force the government to respond. And the long term goal is to push for education and judicial reforms to create a safer environment for children. And so this letter closes with a call to action. It says, "The people of Jiangyou, the cries of that 14-year-old girl are not just our shame, they are a warning bell. Let's follow Gandhi's example. Let's unite and pack the prisons with our peaceful resistance." And it says, let's seek justice through nonviolence and fight for the girl and lay down a path for the future. It is the first time in a long time, or in a long while, that ordinary people are openly organizing on their own to fight the establishment for their future. And that alone is deeply encouraging. And it is threatening to the regime because it shows that the seeds of civil consciousness are starting to grow. So history doesn't move forward automatically, but the accumulation of moments like Jiangyou can become the force that pushes changes into motion.